time earlier, but let's continue. An anatomy of Python, okay? First, Python again is a language first and foremost. Just like I said earlier, a child is born, they don't know any language. That is you right now. Put yourself in that position. I put myself in that position before. I knew nothing. All I could do was cry. What the hell is this teacher talking about? I'm there crying. Eventually, I'm going to start with you tomorrow with data types, okay? These are the building blocks of every programming language. Whether you're doing Java, Python, HTML, all those things, they have data types. If you can understand it very well tomorrow, you're good to go with any other programming language. You're always going to see that. The same with variables. So think about the words that children start learning. The child is born, they don't know anything. Right now, we don't know anything. Maybe we do, right? But we're going to start by learning the different parts of a language. In order for you to communicate in whichever language, you have to know the differences between nouns, verbs, adjectives, and so on. Those are like data types for us in this case. A variable is a word. We're going to talk more about those tomorrow. And then we'll start writing sentences. Like what I wrote was an expression, which is a sentence. 2 plus 7 is an expression. 2 and 7 are operands. The operands are joined by an operator. That plus sign is a plus operator, which tells it to do a certain thing. Add those two numbers together, and it makes up that sentence, that statement. That was a Python statement. When I said print hello DK, that was a function. I used that function print because somebody back in the days created a function that says if you see people putting this word print in parentheses, whatever they put in there, output it in the console. So that was a function that someone created so that I don't have to recreate it. You don't have to recreate it. We just use the function. We don't know what the function does. We just use it. We know that it's going to present us with our output. So that's how you have a paragraph. Someone has written code that we're using now. But if we decide that we want to write our code and save it, think about those instructions that you want for your child to go to school. You save it as go to school.py. Those instructions are always going to take place. You can have all those related instructions saved in a module. That's what a module is known as. A module usually has lines of code and functions in there, okay, in any order. But the main thing is that they are all related. We'll talk more about modules in a little bit. So if you're used to data sciences, they'll tell you, hey, you need this module to do this code. You need that module for visualization. You need this module for data analysis. You need this module for, cloud computing and so on. The same with packages. If modules are like files, packages are like folders, okay? Because they group those modules together. Again, it might be related modules and so on. So with Python, you can have a package for data science. You can have a package for this. You can have a package for that. The reason you see when we want to download Anaconda, it is so huge, is because Anaconda has a lot of packages. If you dissect that Anaconda that we downloaded, you see that there's a module for this, there's a module for that, there's a module for this. All those modules are in there to make scientists have their work easier. If you don't want to deal with other science stuff, then just get to your black and white black and white C Python, right? Again, I don't want to care whether it's Senegalese rice or Chinese rice or Nigerian or Cameroonian rice. I just want my plain old rice without any flavor or anything. Just give me that rice. Don't waste time adding all these spices there. So that's what packages are. A library now. A library and packages are actually being interchanged. They use it interchangeably. But it's a much more familiar conception to say that libraries are sets of packages. So when we say Python is very extensible, it's because we are saying Python has many libraries. There's a library for web programming. There's a library for cloud computing. There's a library for machine learning. There's a library for that, because those are all sets of reusable code that we can always use for a particular job, whether it's DevOps, whether it's machine learning, whether it's cloud computing, all those libraries are there. But now when you talk of a library, just like you see in this picture, in the library, you go into the library to borrow a book, you use it, you put it back. We don't own the code. Just like I said, print this. I don't own the print code. I'm just using somebody's code and printing it, and it's available for anybody to use. In that case, you have a library, a framework, which you see on here, like this house has a framework. A framework, you actually take it and you own it, and then you add other pieces to that. So if you talk about using Python for a web framework like Django, Flask, that's because they have already built the structure for you. Now you just come and say, okay, if you build a structure of the website, I want my website to be blue. I want my website to be yellow. I want my website title to be this. I want my website content to be that. And now that's what a framework is. You can have a framework like you see in here. You can decide if your roof is red or blue or green. You can decide if your wall is going to be metal or if your wall is going to be wood or your wall is going to be cement. Does this make sense? What all of these different pieces of Python are?
Yeah, this is really good. Thanks.
Awesome. Glad to hear that. So again, we're going to start really slow. Once we solidify all these concepts, you're not going to be hearing my ugly voice again. It's going to be us just practicing and having fun. That's the best part of it, having fun. Okay. So this talks about the different parts of, English language, French language, any language, Python language. We start learning words, sentences, paragraphs, getting chapters and books and books and books and books until people cannot shut you up anymore. You just keep producing more and producing. So now that we've talked about the anatomy, the next thing I wanted to point out was the tools. If we're going to be writing code, we need to figure out the way we're going to be writing it. What are we going to use to write the code, right? First of all, I've shown you this boring black and white thing in here. Oops, now I had to kick you guys out of there. This is the IDLE, which is the default editor for Python. When you install Python, you get that IDLE, okay? So that IDLE, again, is our default Python editor, as you see at the very top here. Apart from that, you can also use other tools, right? Again, you don't only need a hammer to be able to build a house. The tools are not what makes Python what it is. Python is always there. It's up to you whether you want to use whatever. The Visual Studio Code is very popular. And I need to warn you, there are two types of Visual Studio. There's Visual Studio without the code at the end. That's one separate software from Visual Studio Code. The Visual Studio, you have to pay for it. Visual Studio Code is free. So Visual Studio is used to build .NET applications. Visual Studio Code, you can use it for multiple different types of languages, which we'll see in a little bit, okay? Some people use PyCharm, depending on what industry you're in. So when you get to an interview, they'll ask you, okay, so you know Python, what tool do you use to write Python? A question like that should not scare you. They say, I'm familiar with multiple tools. I use Visual Studio Code. Right now, we're using Jupyter because we're using Notebook. Anaconda actually comes with Jupyter and also with Spider, okay? So Jupyter and Spider are quite, popular too. You notice that, Eclipse as well is also popular. Eclipse has a PyDev, should I say plugin or extension that you use, okay? So there are multiple different types. It's up to you. Some people, maybe they started learning Java and they were using Eclipse or Java, so they want to stick to Java. Others, maybe they started learning C# and they were using Visual Studio Visual Studio, and they're familiar with that. In my industry where I work now, we do a lot of stuff with .NET. So most of the developers are comfortable with using .NET. Nobody wants to go out there and learn another or use another tool. They get comfortable. For data science, most people use Jupyter, and I really encourage Jupyter Notebooks, which is part of Anaconda, because it has its benefits, as you see in the article that I sent to you. You can use it. Let me go back to, actually, it's right here. I don't need to switch. Let's see, where am I? Yep, so if we switch back to, let me escape from there. If we go back to here, this is Jupyter Notebook. On here, I can decide to change this cell from code and let it be markup. And I can type some stuff here. Hello, what's up? That is not going to be executed. I can go ahead and add a new cell at the bottom. And in here, I can write more code. 7 plus 11, 711. So in this way, I can have markup. Sorry, this is a markup that's included in my code, and I can use that for a presentation or whatever. If I want to save it, I can decide to save it either as export it as a particular type of content. I can export it as HTML or as a PDF, and so on and so forth. So that's why it's very powerful to use Jupyter Notebooks. And all these things I'm listing out, I encourage you to go out and play with them. Now that you already have this account online, this is something that you can add right away on your resume. You have some exposure to Anaconda, you have exposure to Jupyter. All right, add those things in there. For instance, I know it took us a minute, but here we are done installing that. And let's go. Let me close that. Oops. Yep, move it to trash. And now I should have Jupyter Notebooks available to me. If I click on my applications, come on, you should be able to see where is the Anaconda, right here at the beginning. So the Anaconda navigator is going to open up, and in Anaconda, like I pointed out, there's a Spider on there, Spider IDE, and you can have all of these. So pretty much it's going to give me the same thing we have here on the cloud. I now have it locally on my machine. So if you can have enough space on your computer to install it, good and fine. If not, it's totally fine. Go ahead with your question.
Does the downloaded version sync with the cloud?
I believe it does sync with the cloud. The other good thing, very good question though, the other good thing with the cloud version is we can collaborate on the cloud. I can decide to be able to share my code with anybody on there. And again, we'll get to that eventually when we start coding. Okay, I can share my code and someone else can go in and modify it, which is typically what happens in a team, because one person does not write the code from 1st to 31st. I might write some code, or let's say if our team is deciding that we have to build or make a car, my part in there might be just the color of the car. Somebody's part might be just the tires. Another person might be working on the engine. Another person is working on the seats. Okay, so in there, which we can talk about later on, we know our goal is to make a car, but we're going to branch this feature off and give it to this team. When the team is done, they go ahead and commit that change to the branch, and then we go ahead. So at one point in time, again, it has to do with agile development. The tire would be ready. We're waiting on the doors to be ready. We're waiting on the engine to be ready. We're waiting on the seats to be ready. At the end of the day, when the project is done, all those different features are ready. So we don't have to sit and wait for everybody to get ready all at once. Does that make sense? Okay, awesome. Glad to hear that answered your question. So let's go back to our presentation again. We've looked at those tools that we're going to need to be able to execute our Python program. So that said, I think there isn't much else that I had to cover today. Let me make sure that I get to the end before I let you guys go. A few things to summarize that we had to talk about today. We succeeded in defining what code is. Everyone should be familiar and comfortable with that for right now. And we understand what coding means. We described Python. We talked of the benefits of Python. We also talked of the different types of distributions we're able to install for those that did not have, or at least at the process of installing, write a few lines of code, use Python by executing those lines, and then list the different Python tools, okay? All those IDEs and or editors, text editors, and understanding the anatomy, which is the most important part, which will lead us to the next thing that we have to talk about, which is going to take place tomorrow. But that said, before I let you guys go, what other questions do you have to ask? And then I'll do the last demonstration before we're done for the day. All right, so since I want to let you guys go, everybody that was successful in getting to Anaconda, or even if you're using your personal, your local Python, I'd like you to end the day by using import this and run that. Oh, sorry about that, guys. My phone is going crazy. All right, so as you can see, import this gives you I love this. This is one of my favorite things in Python. It gives you what is known as the Zen of Python. So this tells you why a few rules per se that you should have when going through Python. And it also works in real life, okay? So in Python, when you write your code, remember that beautiful is always better than ugly. Explicit is better than explicit. Don't imply anything, explain it. Simple is better than complex, and complex is better than complicated. Flat is better than nested. When we write code, you want your code to be flat. You don't want to nest code inside another. Parse is better than dense. Write stuff that is light to see. Don't choke things up together, right? You also want to have that readability and so on and so forth. So we'll talk about all of this tomorrow. I'd like to leave you with that. Go ahead and type import this. That is an Easter egg for Python. And I'll see you guys all tomorrow. Sounds good?
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you too. Enjoy the rest of your day. Let's see if I can end with some music while everyone is set.